Hi folks, HR Funk here. If you clicked on this video because you wondered what kind of a maniac uses a title like that, you need to go back and watch my last video entitled Gun Stories and it'll make sense. Now, the fact that it makes sense doesn't preclude the fact that you did click on a video that was produced by some kind of maniac, but still at least you'll understand why I used that title. For those of you who did see the last video, you already understand why I used it, but it's actually oddly appropriate given the subject matter of this video, which is going to be the 50 Beowulf cartridge. This is a cartridge that heretofore I have had no experience with whatsoever. And I was at House of Pain Munitions the other day, and I was talking to the folks there, and they wanted me to try it out. And I said, oh, okay, but I don't have anything that chambers that cartridge. They said, that's okay. You can use our upper, which is what I have here. Now, if you're familiar with the 50 Beowulf cartridge, you know that it was developed some years ago by Alexander Arms, and it was intended to be used for a more effective close-range round out of an AR platform rifle than the typical 5.56 round that the military has used for years and years and years. I have no doubt that it's a more effective round than the 5.56 cartridge, and the ballistics are not dissimilar to the old 45-70 cartridge that the military used back in the late 1800s. The idea of capping off a cartridge like that, though, in an AR platform rifle is something I wasn't really all that sure about. Now, the nice thing about the 50 Beowulf cartridge is it was engineered to be able to use in a standard AR rifle, or at least with a standard lower, with nothing more than switching the upper to one that was manufactured to go with the 50 Beowulf cartridge, so that's very convenient. In fact, it even uses standard AR-15 magazines, which is what I have here, and I loaded 5 rounds into a 20-round magazine, and I was actually able to stuff 7 rounds into this magazine, but when I did that, it caused the PMag to expand at the top, and I was not able to seat it in the magazine well. So I downloaded it by 2 rounds, I had 5 rounds in there, and it seated just fine. You can obviously put more than that in a 30-round magazine. I'm not sure how many, 8 or 10 probably, I would guess. I didn't try that. But I think 5 rounds is going to be enough for what I was planning to do. Now, you might say, what would you do with a cartridge like that? And first off, it would certainly make a formidable home defense cartridge. But also, if you're someone who's inclined to hunt with an AR platform rifle. Now, I'm not. I would be more inclined to hunt with a single-shot black powder muzzle-loading rifle probably than an AR platform rifle, if we're talking about hunting deer or something like that. But if you would want to do that, or if you live somewhere where you have to be concerned with large predatory game that might decide to eat you, like bear country or mountain lions or what have you, then that might be another time that an AR platform rifle chambered for something like the 50 Beowulf might be something that would give you some peace of mind. So in any case, I went out to the range earlier today with the 50 Beowulf cartridge that was provided to me by House of Pain. And speaking of that, I do need to make a point about that ammunition because I looked it up earlier today, and the ammunition they gave me, and I will pull out a cartridge, is part of their poly line. So this is a lead bullet with a polymer jacket or polymer coating. And here is one of those cartridges for you to look at. And I'll try to get you a better picture that you can see a little bit more closely. And one of the nice things about this is it is much less expensive than a lot of the 50 Beowulf ammunition out there. And I did a quick perusal online earlier this morning, and this stuff is running between $40 and $80 for a box of 20. So basically $2 to $4, and some of it even more expensive than that, per round. So if you're going to buy a box of this and keep it loaded up for home defense, where you may never end up using it, or if you're going to use a cartridge or 2 every year for hunting or one thing or another, then that's probably not going to be too bad if you're only buying 1 box. But if you're going to do any kind of training, or you need to sight in an optic, or any of those sorts of things, then you're not going to do too much shooting with those 50 Beowulf cartridges before it gets very, very expensive. And that's where the House of Pain poly-coated bullets come in, because they are much less expensive for that type of thing than the conventional 50 Beowulf cartridges that I was looking at online, which were jacketed hollow point ammunition and other types of cartridges like that that were meant for more serious use. So anyway, off to the range I went, and I did approach this with a degree of trepidity because, again, I've never fired a cartridge like that out of an AR platform rifle. So let's head off to the range and we'll see how the very first shots went. So here we go, folks. I am loaded up and ready to go with 5 rounds of the 50 Bayo in this 20 round 5.56 magazine. I'm about to start shooting. I'm back at a distance of about 15 yards from the target, and I just put these sights on this morning, so I really don't know where they're going to hit. So one of the things I want to figure out first is where these big bullets are going. Then we'll go on from there and try some different things. So here we go. And the first round chambered, so that's a good sign. Let's see where it goes. I'm going to aim right for the middle of his fist. And that's just about where it hit. So that's nice. Let's try one more. A little bit lower that second time. All right, I got an idea where to hold. And I was not sure at all what to expect with the recoil from the 50 Beowulf. It's a pretty good shove. It might be a little bit more than the average 12 gauge shotgun slug, but not too much more. I think I'm feeling it a little bit more in my cheek from this hard plastic stock than I am really in my shoulder. Let's try one more shot. Go for a headshot this time. I'd say his head probably would not be all in one piece anymore. Okay, so I was feeling better at this point. I had fired a few rounds. I was still around to tell the story. It was not as bad as I imagined it might be. So now it was time to find out just how controllable that ammunition was from a rifle like this. And obviously this rifle is outfitted, or I should say this barrel is outfitted with a muzzle device that's going to help manage that recoil impulse somewhat. But otherwise, this is just a standard AR-15. It is a standard buffer system in there, so there's nothing that's really going to slow down that recoil to help with that controllability. And this ammunition from House of Pain features a 50 caliber bullet, which is rated at 1,870 feet per second for a muzzle energy of 2,718 foot-pounds. So this is not lightweight ammunition, even though it is less expensive, as I was saying a little while ago. So let's go back out to the range and see how some controllability tests went with the 50 Beowulf. So here's a question. Can you double tap with this stuff, or is it too uncontrollable? I've got a round in the chamber and 5 rounds in the magazine. Let's see what happens here. I'd say it's controllable enough for double taps. It's not easy, but you can do it. So to this point, I really had seen no reason to make any corrections to my sights. As I said earlier in the video, I just attached these earlier this morning, and I wasn't sure where they were going to hit, but they were close enough for the distances at which I was shooting. And truthfully, if I was inclined to hunt with a rifle like this, I might have dialed them in a little bit, but if I was using them for relatively close range deer hunting in heavy brush, I wouldn't feel too bad with the accuracy that I was getting. But I'm glad of that, because just about this time, some water bottle Desperados started to show up, and here's what happened with them. Time for a real challenge, folks. Some water bottle Desperados just showed up, and the first one is a real schwepp. Let's see if we can vaporize him with the 50 Bayo. I'd say he was vaporized. Folks, this is amazing. I have to show you this. The bottle was hit just about dead center right here. Looks like it came out right about there. Actually, maybe that's the entrance hole. In any case, it was hit in the middle of the bottle, but the water blasted up through the top of the bottle with such pressure that it blew the hat apart. So one of the water bottle Desperado hats is now gone. and he's going to that place where guys who wear black hats always go. It's that big trash heap in the sky. But there are a couple of more of them around here, so I'm going to have to deal with them as well. There he comes, next water bottle Desperado. This time around it's Big Lister, and he always thinks he's so cool. Let's see if we can knock his hat off. I think Big Lister is not cool anymore. And the last of this motley crew is JB. He always has more alcohol inside him than anything else. Let's see if we can sober him up a little bit. That ought to get his attention. That ought to get his attention. And after vanquishing the Desperados, it was time to find out if the 50 Beowulf is a 7-yard tack driver. So let's head back out to the range and find out. So is the new House of Pain Mega-Awsome Super Blaster, aka the 50 Beowulf, a 7-yard tack driver? I've got 3 rounds loaded in the magazine, I have a tack and a target, so let's find out. Perfect windage, and I'm hitting a little bit low. I was holding a little high at that time, but not high enough. So we'll go a little higher this time. Still not high enough. But 2 shots to the same hole. And if I had the sights zeroed better, this would be a little bit easier. Last try. You've got to be kidding me. I had to have gotten a piece of that. Wait till I walk up a little closer. Okay, just for some reference, folks, I was holding the front sight here when I fired that shot, and it did not touch the tack at all. So no, the House of Pain 50 Beowulf is not going to be a tack driver, but I'm not really sure it has to be. Folks, I've only got a little bit of this House of Pain 50 Beowulf ammo left, and that last tack shot was just too close for me to leave without seeing if I can drive it out of there. So I moved the tack to a different part of the target. Let's see if I have a little better luck this time. That's more like it. So my hold that time was right about here, and there is tack shrapnel or tack particles embedded in the target all the way around there. That looks like it was a perfect dead center tack hit, so I'm pretty happy with that. So during the official test, no, the 50 Beowulf was not a 7-yard tack driver. As I said, I'm not entirely sure it needs to be, but it did redeem itself on that final shot. And that's going to do it for my evaluation of the 50 Beowulf, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments about this video, as always, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you purchase anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it's good for 7% off your purchase from Optics Planet. Also, I want to say thank you to House of Pain Munitions for supplying the ammunition for this video, and also the upper, so I was able to test out this cartridge. And don't forget, if you go to House of Pain, either House of Pain Armament or House of Pain Munitions, you can use my discount code there, which is HRFunk10, and that'll save you some money off your purchase from House of Pain. So if you're looking at those 50 Beowulf cartridges that are already a little bit lower than everyone else's, you can save yourself a few more bucks by using my discount code. And don't forget the Target sponsor. Go to Target's online, check out their inventory, and see if they have anything that's going to meet your Target needs. See you next time, folks. And until then, good shooting with a Mega-Awsome Super Blaster. Bye-bye.